Hello, hello. What books did we do for read alouds this year? Let's chat about that. And I'm so excited to share with you the ones that we loved and the ones that were not so great. So keep watching. Hello friends, I'm Ashley if we haven't met yet here at Joyful Noise Learning, and I love to talk about Charlotte Mason inspired homeschool, affordable homeschooling curriculum, and biblically based and inspired homeschool curriculum. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. Today's video is a collaboration hosted by my wonderful friend Katie. I'm joining up with Katie again today at Life in the Mundane, and she has invited several others of our homeschool YouTube friends, and they're sharing as well their favorite read alouds, as well as we like to share the ones that did not go over so well this year. So sometimes it's good to hear both perspectives, and I've been enjoying watching these ladies' videos. So you'll want to check out the playlist in the description box below. Okay, so let's get into it now. I have been sick all this last week. Thankfully, I had a video recorded ahead of time that went up last week, but I've been meaning to record this video, and finally I'm able to do this. I have a little bit of a voice now. I might be sniffling a little bit in the video, but just bear with me and let's go. Let's talk about reading. I love talking about books that we all love to read. I wanted to share with you, when I sat down to plan for this video, I was like, what did we read this year again? I remembered some, and others I was like, I can't remember. But I do have my daily reading record, not daily, but my reading record sheet that I have made for you guys. My hubby designed it in my printable library on my website, so you can check those out in the description as well. Okay, just like several of my other friends in this collab, I'm not going to share with you every single book we read. We did read a lot, and I can't even remember some of the picture books we did, but these are mostly our main family read alouds, and they're mostly the chapter books, the bigger size books. And we did Brave Writer books this year. We did some of the Dart guides and some of the Arrow guides. And I'll be honest, I started off strong with this in the beginning of the year, and then later on as the year went on, we started just reading the books but not using the guide. And I feel so bad because they're so great, but the books were great suggestions, so we did read through those books. Another thing I do when I pick books is I try to pick some books that will fit my oldest. So she's 10 and she likes fantasy style books, and she can understand a little bit higher level of books. So we sometimes pick books that fit her, and then other times I'll pick read alouds that will fit my younger kids. So I went back and forth throughout the year picking things that they would all listen to. So several of the Brave Writer books that I did was James and the Giant Peach. Such a great classic. I did not love this when I was a kid, but I do love it as an adult. So great Roald Dahl book, lots of fun and whimsy and adventure at the same time. Easy read, nice and short, but all my kids loved it. My son actually asked for the movie for Christmas, and he got it from my aunt, so we have the movie now too. The Mouse and the Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. I never read this as a kid, I'll admit, another classic, but I did watch the movies as a kid. So my goal was to read through the book with the kids. My husband read most of it to them, so that was kind of cool, and they loved it. And then we rented the movie afterwards, and they loved the movie too, and the movie came with all 3 videos. So we watched the old school, I think that they were late 70s, early 80s movies. So as you can tell, these ones were more geared towards my younger guys. Another one we did was Mr. Popper's Penguins, and they loved that one as well. I read it to them several years ago when my oldest was first grade, and it was a big hit then. But I thought we'd do it again for my 5-year-old and my 8-year-old to hear this time. And they just got a kick out of it. Again, it's an easy read, and we just don't take it too seriously. We just love it, and we laugh, and it's just a silly story that we like reading. Okay, now the other book that we did, this was on the Brave Writer list, was The Wild Robot Escapes. And you're probably going to hear about this book a lot in this playlist. But it was The Wild Robot Escapes is the actual sequel to The Wild Robot. And we got these from the library. So we had to read the first one of the series first. So we read The Wild Robot, and they loved it. It was a big hit with them. And then we went right into the other books. My daughter actually grabbed the first book when I got it in from the library, and before we were ready to read it, we were reading something else. I don't remember, another book we were reading, and she went ahead and read it herself in 4 days. So when I read it to the boys, she kind of listened in and out, And then when we got to Wild Robot Escapes, she was able to sit in on that one as well. I have to admit though, guys, even though it was a quick read, it was an easy read, it did have a little bit of humor in it, lots of drama and adventure as well, lots of interesting different characters. This was not one of my favorites to read. I did see more of the positives later when I was talking with my friends. You can go watch their videos too, and talking with them, hearing more of the positives that they saw with it. It was fun to do the voices a little bit. I did enjoy that. But there was a couple things that really stood out to me that I did not like about the Wild Robot and the Wild Robot Escapes. The style of the writing was hard for me to read as a read aloud. And I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't put my finger on it as I kept reading it, and we kept going and going, and I was like, this is not fun to me. It wasn't the vocabulary, but it was just the style of the voice of the writing. And I figured it out later on in the second book. It's the passive voice. There's a lot of, and if you know a little bit about English, you'll get that. It's hard for me to describe, but it's more of, it's not the active voice. It was very simple sentences. Like instead of saying like the robot rushed through the woods and then leaped over the river and landed on the jagged rocks, and like there was a lot of description in it, but there were many times where instead of describing it, it just kind of told what was happening, and it used words where it was like, I'll have to look it up and put a clip here for the kind of sentences I'm talking about. Either way, it just bugged me, but the story itself, the kids still did like. The other reason I didn't like it is, even though the adoption thing was really, really cool, I still felt like there was a hidden agenda under the story. It was kind of like putting down civilization and saying that that there's no creativity in creating machines or creating technology, and it wanted everybody to get back to being wild and being natural and all that. So it's hard to describe. So like, I don't think being natural is bad, or, technology and, machines are bad. But there was just a sense there that I felt like they were saying the modern world is bad and we need to get back to the old stuff and being wild. I don't know. But the thing is, guys, that probably went right over my kids' head, and they didn't catch that as well. That is just how I read into it. So overall, I'm sure your kids will be fine with reading it. But that is just why I did not like that one. So yeah, I hope I did okay explaining that. So that was all the ones that we read from the Brave Writer book list this year. There's a few others we read that were not on the book list. One of them was Daughter of the Mountains, and we actually really enjoyed this one. It was difficult to get through. There was a lot of descriptive language in this. This one was probably on the other spectrum of the Wild Robot style of writing, where it was lots and lots of descriptive language. So, but the kids still stayed engaged. I still plowed forward through it. There were many times I wanted to give up because they were just such long descriptive sections, but we just broke it up into little parts. They love the story of the little girl trying to go after her dog that was stolen, and it brought in a lot of different cultural things. We talked about India, we talked about different religions, we talked about Buddhism. We had some really, really great discussions with that one. So that was really, really neat. Okay, another one of our favorites, which wasn't on any book list, but it was just on our family desire to read. And we started the Wing Feather series by Andrew Peterson several years ago. So we read book 1 about 2 years ago. Then we read book 2 last year. And then this year we just made our way through book 3 and book 4 pretty quickly. So these are the new editions. They're really, really pretty. It's definitely a fantasy style. It has a lot of gospel and Christian undertones in it. And you really won't notice it fully until you get to the end, to the very end, and you get to the last book and you see it all come together and all the mess that was happening all up until then. And you're just like, whoa. Guys, this is one of those books or series that you don't want to stop with the first book. You've got to read through till the end, till book 4. All the characters and the story just culminates, and oh my gosh, you'll be blown away by the ending. We've read it through, so this is our second time now, and I'm sure we'll be reading it through over and over again in the days to come. All right, so my husband and I are also huge Lord of the Rings fans. And we figured, I picked up The Hobbit as soon as we finished Book 4 of the Wing Feather. I thrusted this one into my husband's hands and I said, okay, read this one next. This is another one my husband has been reading to the kids. We are almost done. We're so close. And we love it. Oh my gosh. I'm glad we waited till they're a little bit older. And again, definitely the Wing Feather books and the Lord of the Rings Tolkien books are more for my oldest. That's definitely geared towards her age and her understanding and maturity. But my 8-year-old son has been interested in it and does listen. I know he doesn't catch as much as she might, but he does enjoy the story and does enjoy his dad reading to him every night. They're almost through reading The Hobbit. We're probably not going to do Lord of the Rings just yet. Eventually we'll get through the rest of these as we go, but we are definitely a big fan of. Okay, now this one was just put in my face and I didn't realize it was on my shelf, but a friend of mine was reading it this year and I knew we just had to read it, and I'm so glad we are. This is our current read aloud right now, and it's George Mueller. From the Christian Heroes Then and Now series. And I'm so glad we're reading this. It is so good. I've been impacted by it so much. And we've had some great conversations with my kids as we read it. So I read it to the kids during the day, but there have been so many good parts. I read it to my husband at night too, because the testing of their faith and just hearing the story of George Mueller and his family's faith and all that he's been going through. Oh my gosh, it is so good, guys. He also goes through a pandemic of cholera, and my kids and I were able to talk about that and had some great conversations about that as well, talking about where God is and how he provides. That has been the biggest challenge to me in my faith right now, is seeing how much he provided for their family in just the right way and just the right time. I highly recommend this one. All right, and now back to the other end of levels. I'm reading this to my 5-year-old and he loves it. The Big Book of Beatrix Potter. This was on our book list for his, from his Charlotte Mason list. And he loves this. I found this one at our library and it has the pictures. It has the original pictures from Beatrix Potter. They're just so cute. So he loves hearing the stories. They are just cute and silly and really great language, just much better language than I've heard in a lot of other modern books. But I have always read these to my kids, and now it's my 5-year-old's turn and he loves this one. And really quickly, I just got to show some books that I plan to read aloud that we didn't get to yet. The Year of the Dog was on the Brave Writer book list. It's set to read in May. I don't know if we'll get to or not. We might. We'll probably get to it after we finish George Mueller. But The Year of the Dog is coming up. I've not read this one yet. And then The Call of the Wild was picked by my kids. We haven't read it yet, but I did order it. We will be getting to this soon. It should be an easy read. So it's the Great Illustrated Classics. I decided to read it in this different version, adapted version than in the original. But anyway, so that one we're excited. Lastly, we had a few audiobooks this year. In the past, we've had a whole lot more audiobooks, but we have not been in the car as often this year. We had a few activities that were cut back on or canceled, and we just haven't had opportunities as much as we have in the past for our audiobooks. But there was 2 that we did that we loved, and 3 that they did not love that we stopped listening to. So first one was My Father's Dragon. Such a great book to listen to. So we got it on LibriVox for free, and it was read by a kid, maybe 10, 11, 12 years old, and he was hilarious, and we listened to it in like 2 or 3 days. And then my daughter went and grabbed the actual book itself and then read that in like 2 or 3 days. It was so cute. The other one we listened to is The Adventures of Reddy Fox. That was for free on LibriVox as well. That's on the Charlotte Mason book list too. And it's a Burgess book, Thornton Burgess, one of his nature ones. And we loved that one and listened to that one in the car on our way to go shopping and stuff. And then the ones we didn't get through that we want to try again another time. I don't think we'll just try again some other time. The Zoo at the Edge of the World was recommended to me by my friend Leanne Dutton. So we started listening to that one in the car, and then the kids just could not get into it. So I think we'll try it again as a read aloud and maybe not as an audiobook. Another one that we could not get into in the audiobook was The Green Ember. And I want so badly for us to like this because I feel like it reminds me of some of the other books we enjoy as a family. But my husband and I and the kids don't enjoy the narrator who does it. So we've actually stopped and started it twice now. And we've listened to the first like 5-6 chapters, something like that, several times, and we just can't get past that. So I think we're going to try it as just regular book read aloud, or we'll just read it on our own. I'll probably hand it to my daughter and have her try to read it herself. And then the last one is Pippi Longstocking. We listened to this one in the car. We started it at one point and it wasn't too bad, but I was way more into it than my kids were. And we never got to finish it. I loved this movie as a kid and I've never read the books. I'm pretty excited for the books. I think part of it too is I forgot we were listening to it. And oh, I know what happened. I had it on the Libby app from my library and then it expired and then I couldn't log back into Libby to get any books. So I was so frustrated and I couldn't get it back. So that's what happened. It's technically my fault and my library's fault. So we'll probably pick that one back up again later in the future too. Maybe this summer would be a good one. But I'm so bummed because Pippi Longstocking is a great one. Whew, okay, I just talked your ear off about books and I'm so glad you watched. I will share in some upcoming videos the readers that my kids did, like the books that they read on their own. I figured this video would be too long if I put it in this video too. So I'm going to do a separate video for my 5th grader, the books that she read, and my 2nd grader, the books that he read. And then I can even share some of the books we did with my 5-year-old too. He found some audiobooks that he really enjoyed. Woo-wee. Okay, please consider subscribing if you haven't yet. Check out the playlist below for more ideas. And if you need some printables to help you plan your read alouds or your reading schedule, I know it's fun to pick your own, but I created some printables to help you do that. And you can plan out what you're reading each month and each week. And then you can have your reading log to keep track of what you did finish and what you did read. So check that out on my website at joyfulnoiselearning.com. All right, thanks so much. I think that's it. All right, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye.